Fresh from the Bharat Jodo Yatra, Congress MP Rahul Gandhi rained down on the government today over the Adani issue. In a 53-minute-long speech, Gandhi took on the Modi government on issues ranging from Agniveer scheme to claims that the Adani group had been favoured to misuse of agencies. Armed with photos and posters, Rahul mounted a scathing attack with the government hitting back, questioning the Congress's own track record. Let's first listen into that exchange.
रूल था कि अगर कोई एयरपोर्ट बिजनेस में नहीं था तो वो इन एयरपोर्ट्स को ले नहीं सकता था। इस रूल को हिंदुस्तान की सरकार ने बदला, रूल बदला गया और अदानी जी को 6 एयरपोर्ट्स दिए गए। रूल था कि अगर कोई एयरपोर्ट बिजनेस में नहीं था तो वो इन एयरपोर्ट्स को ले नहीं सकता था। इस रूल को हिंदुस्तान की सरकार ने बदला। ये भी सवाल पूछा कि भैया एक बात बताइए, राहुल जी बताइए हमें कि अदानी जी का जो नेटवर्थ है वो 3 साल के अंदर 2014 से लेकर 2022 तक ये $8 बिलियन से $140 बिलियन कैसे हो गया?
कैसे हुआ?
यात्रा में लोगों ने मुझसे पूछा, राहुल जी ये जो LIC कंपनी है इसका पैसा अदानी जी की मदद करने के लिए क्यों डाला जा रहा है? हजारों करोड़ रुपए हिंदुस्तान के पब्लिक सेक्टर बैंक अदानी जी को मिलता है।
इतना कहना चाहता हूं, राहुल जी अभी आप सीनियर MP हो गए हैं, आप एक सीनियर MP हो चुके हैं। हम लोग एक्सपेक्ट करते हैं कि इस सदन का सदस्य होने के नाते जो भी बातें आप करेंगे गंभीरता से आप बात करेंगे। बाहर आप जो भी भाषण देते हैं हम लोग उसको रोक नहीं सकते। इस सदन के अंदर में जो भी बात कही जाती है पूरा गंभीरता के साथ, प्रमाण के साथ कहे जाना चाहिए।
इस रोल के आधार पर इनको मैं चैलेंज करता हूं, पूरी कांग्रेस पार्टी को चैलेंज करता हूं कि GMR और GVK को कौन सा एयरपोर्ट चलाने का लाइसेंस जब दिया तो उनको उसका नॉलेज था। मैं चैलेंज करता हूं पूरी कांग्रेस पार्टी को। जब इन्होंने बिरला को बनाने का दिया, डालमिया को बनाने का दिया, टाटा को बनाने का दिया लाइसेंस, उस वक्त उनको कौन सा मोटर चलाने का अधिकार था? सर ये गलत बयानी कर रहे हैं। मेरा ये कहना है कि आप एलिगेशन प्रधानमंत्री को ऊपर लगा रहे हैं, आप पेपर दीजिए और कौन सा रूल भारत सरकार ने चेंज किया एयरपोर्ट में अडानी के लिए वो ऑथेंटिकेट कीजिए, नहीं तो इस तरह की बात नहीं कर सकते।
So it was not just the Congress, the TMC also joined in the chorus attacking the government again over Adani, while other parties boycotted the session until a JPC probe is set up. It has now come down to allegation versus allegation.
GVK built the Mumbai airport and they did a fantastic job of it. On July 2nd, 2021, CBI filed FIRs against the GVK group. On July 18th, the ED raided GVK in Mumbai and Hyderabad, and then they sold their 50.5% stake in Mumbai airport to a company.
ये बहुत ही दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण है। नियमों की अवहेलना करके पूरा उनकी टिप्पणी गाली गलौज, हमें खड़ा होना पड़ा, नियम दिखाना पड़ा। ये क्या मतलब है इसका? एक बड़ा सवाल यह है कि राहुल गांधी और यूपीए के समय में क्या एयरपोर्ट दिए गए कि नहीं दिए गए, उसको गिनाया जाए क्या? और बिना किसी दस्तावेज के एक हवाई किला बना करके ये बहुत दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण है।
All right, so what is this all going to come down to eventually? It's now come to the stage where when the Congress says you have favored one group, the BJP says you favored others. Your governments and states have also favored corporate groups. So is this now accusation and blame game moving from crony capitalism charges to the vilification of corporate houses in India. That's what we're trying to understand. Where really is this going? What is the end game here? To speak on this, I'm joined by Dr Shatorupa of the BJP, Manish, Barriarr, a political analyst with us on the show, Jyotimani Sennimalai, she's an MP from the Congress party in the Lok Sabha with us today, and Tehseen, Poonawalla, political analyst. Welcome to all of you. Let me first begin with Ms. Jyotimani. What is the strategy now in Parliament, ma'am? So far, the Congress has been saying that we haven't had a chance to get our voice heard. That has happened today. Will you now wait for a response from the government and allow Parliament to function?
See, it's not we who are not allowed Parliament to function. See, there is a scam, Adani scam, which directly connected to the Prime Minister of this country, unfolding. This is the biggest scam in the independence India. So we are asking, there is some pertinent questions raised here. Why, how Mr. Adani has benefited from this government? Why the only one businessman supported in all contracts? How the strategic, very important strategic places like ports, airports, spectrum, oil, defense has given one company which has no experience in building these things earlier. So we demanding the Joint Parliamentary Committee to probe these allegations. If government is clean, Prime Minister is honest, why don't you simply form the JPC and let the House function on the same day? You don't need to wash out the House for 2-3 days. Today anyway, the House, we want the discussion. So the House, today it's run. Tomorrow also the House will run. Let Prime Minister respond to the allegations.
Right.
So it's always the government who's stalling the House to hide their
Ms. Jyotimani,
so I got it.
So you're waiting for a response from the government. Ms. Jyotimani, today the BJP and union ministers got up in the House and MPs got up in the House from the Bharatiya Janata Party, from the Treasury benches, and said, show me the proof of all the allegations that you're making. That there was favoritism of any kind, that rules were tweaked. Is the Congress party willing to back these claims with evidence? What is the basis of these allegations? Is it just restricted to the short seller Hindenburg's report, or is there more that you have?
See, today in the Parliament, every sentence which Rahul Gandhi ji has spoken, the ministers or cabinet minister of the governments kept on interfering him. That shows their fear. Second, whatever the allegation leveled in the floor of the Parliament by Rahul ji, has the proof. When he said Sri Lanka, Prime Minister of our country went to Sri Lanka, another sovereign nation, to pressurize the Prime Minister of that President of the nation to give a wind power contract to Adani. This none other than the electricity board chairman of Sri Lanka on record said this. We have on record, not on some press meet or something, in their public hearing of the parliamentary committee he said this. Second thing, which when Prime Minister went to Israel, then immediately after that, Mr. Adani got a contract. That there is a company, Hindustan Aeronautical Limited, which is a public sector undertaking, which has a decades-long experience in building this kind of defense equipment, which exported the defense equipment in the other countries. This is a, as I said, public limited company, which was not allowed to have the defense deal, but Adani company, which has no prior experience, has been allowed to defense deal. Same
Dr.
with the
Shatorupa,
airports.
would you like
there
to
are
respond?
many players who can actually build the airports.
Have
none of them
proof
were
for
allowed.
their
Even
allegations.
the people,
They're basing it on public statements.
One minute.
And they want a JPC. Yes. Let her respond, ma'am. Let her respond. I took the first
not public
responses from
statements,
you.
Madam. That is not a
Tamanna,
public
you'll have to
statement.
repeat your question because the Honourable
on
Congress
record.
MP
It's
is going
not
on
public
and on.
statements.
So I'm really not
Okay.
being able to understand which one I should respond to.
No, you
Please
respond to
repeat
my
your
question.
question.
You respond
please.
to my question.
So
My
that is
question
you
is
did
that
scam. Obviously, you can't understand anything.
1 minute. Let me ask the questions, please. Let me ask the questions, please. Today they are saying we have the proof. When Rahul Gandhi stood up in Parliament, the response to him was, where is the proof? The MP from the Congress party is sitting on this channel right now and saying that we have the proof. We are basing this on statements. She's citing something which she claims is from the Sri Lankan Parliamentary Committee as one example. They're saying they have the proof. How would you respond? Should there be a probe?
Tamanna, first of all, a very good evening to you and the rest of the panelists. Once again, we are face to face with a fantastic, entertaining session at the Parliament, where, like you very correctly said, 53 minutes long lecture that Rahul Gandhi has given. As usual, Rahul Gandhi, whenever you talk about Rahul Gandhi, we generally look at quantity, whether it's the lack of his brain cells or whether it's right now his facial hair or the nonsense that he talks. There's hardly any quality that we can quantify. However, since he has wasted 53
I
minutes
have a very strong
time,
objection to this.
once
There
again,
is a Prime
after
Minister
wasting some
who never
65
come to... Madam, I
You
have
see,
a
this
strong
is the
objection to
Congress's
this. What is...
problem.
Let
They
her
do not
finish
have
her
the
point.
tolerance. They blame
1
us
minute,
for
1 minute.
intolerance. They do
I
not
will
have
request
the
her
tolerance
to
enough
let her
cannot
finish
use
her
the word
point. 1 minute.
tolerated
The Prime
Ms.
Minister
Jyoti
has
Mani,
never
Ms.
came
Jyoti
to
Mani,
any
allow me
parliament
to do the
and
interventions
outside
over
this
here.
parliament.
I will.
How can
1
we
minute,
get
Ms.
on
Jyoti
this
Mani
nonsense?
Sennimalai, please allow to finish. But Dr. Shatorupa, it does not bode
They don't
well
want to
if your
allow me
response
to
starts
do
with
the
a personal
debate.
attack on Rahul Gandhi's facial hair.
Madam, sorry.
Is
No,
that
she
is
can't-
that the
no,
depth
she
of your
can't use
response?
word
1
like
minute,
nonsense,
Ms.
right?
Jyoti
Madam,
Mani,
please.
if only
She
you will
can't
speak,
use
ma'am, then how will we
word
have
like
this debate?
nonsense on my
1
on my
minute.
leader's speech.
Ms. Jyoti Mani, 1 minute. Ma'am, with due respect,
Madam,
if only you will
please
speak,
listen.
ma'am,
You
how
want
will
to
we have
abuse-
this debate?
See, you want to put people to abuse us. We are not here to listen to the
1
abusers.
minute.
Please.
Can I do
Conduct
my
the
job?
debate
Can you
with the decorum and grace.
please
Don't do
have
this
some
kind of
patience,
nonsense.
ma'am, and listen for a few minutes? Dr. Shatorupa,
They
you
don't
should
have.
complete your point, but I want to just say that if
You
the
are
first
not doing
15,
your
20
job.
seconds
You
of
are
your
not doing
response
your
from the
job. That is why I am
BJP
interfering.
is focused on Rahul Gandhi's facial hair, then I'm wondering if you
No.
really have a reply.
No,
Do you really have a reply?
Tamanna, I did not. I just said that the quality of Rahul Gandhi's statements, whether it's today,
But
whether
that's
it's
irrelevant.
anywhere,
I'm
there's
asking you,
really
what
not
is your
much
response
quality
to it?
depend on. So that is why I said this. I'm sorry if it is
I
offended.
mean, it was a
the
personal
However,
sort of
coming
thing.
back
I
to
mean,
the point, Tamanna,
let's argue on facts here. Yeah.
I am trying to, provided he gives us the facts. Rahul Gandhi needs to give us some facts. That is what I started to say. Rahul Gandhi, instead of showing pictures, needs to give us facts. He's done this as when we were when they had confronted BJP with Rafale. He has done this innumerable times. Now the Congress MP on your show is going on launching personal attacks. The Honorable Prime Minister of India, and you are holding a gun at me because I have talked about Rahul Gandhi's beard. This is ridiculous. I mean, here Rahul Gandhi gets away with the nonsense that he says on Parliament or wherever he goes because the media gives him that amount of airtime. It's high time that people realize that Congress at large...
Are you saying that an
especially this
opposition leader
particular
statements
family,
in
Rahul Gandhi
1
and
minute,
his
ma'am? I
predecessors
just want to understand
have
what
wasted
the
India's time.
issue here is. 1 minute, Dr. Shatorupa, since you've made a statement, I think I should get some clarity on it. Are you saying that the media should not cover what the opposition says in Parliament?
Of course you should. Of course you should.
Then that's what
Otherwise,
we're
how
doing.
do we get to know? Of course you
Exactly.
should. But I'm saying we're having a whole show on 53 minutes of nonsense. Please cover.
No.
Please let India know what amount of the lack of depth that this man and the rest of his family has. And then we have a
No, why should I do a show on the lack of depth of one MP and his family? 1 minute. Why should I do a show? 1 minute. I think, Dr. Shatorupa, I'm not understanding what you have armed yourself with today in a debate. Why should I do a show on the lack of depth of one man and his family? Why, as an Indian citizen, do I care about the lack of depth of one man and his family? I care what is happening in the parliament of my country. And I have a right to understand what's happening in the parliament of my country. The opposition is asking a question the government needs to answer. Do you have an answer, Dr. Shatorupa? For the 4th time I'm asking you. Everyone will keep quiet and listen. What is your answer?
What is the question?
Do you have a response to what the Congress
I can't
MP has
hear
said?
because there are so many people talking at the same time. What exactly
Nobody is
is your
talking.
question?
Nobody is talking. I've said the question 4 times.
Tell me that I'm on the internet. I'm not probably
What
not being
is
able to
your
hear.
response to the allegations Rahul Gandhi has made in Parliament against your government?
Well, that is exactly what I was answering for so long. That there is absolutely no depth in what he's been saying. There's absolutely, he needs to give us proof. All our 4 ministers have got up and asked for proof. He has only come up with some 2.5 posters. He needs to give us proof. Who told him?
Where is the proof?
Who
Tehseen
whispered
Poonawalla,
into
where is
his
the
ears
proof? Because this has turned
Adani
into,
is
okay, I
dependent
got
on
the gist
Modi
of your
magic?
response. Dr. Shatorupa, I got the
So
gist
that
of
is-
your
that is
response.
exactly
It's
what
echoing
I'm
what
saying,
Kiran
Tamanna.
Rijiju and all the ministers are saying. Where is the proof? Tehseen
What else do
Poonawalla,
you expect me to say? I
Tehseen
would not say
Poonawalla,
anything that my ministers
is
have not
there
said.
enough substance in the allegations made today? And it's
No.
not just Rahul Gandhi. Mahua Moitra also got up and she made her speech. There has been a
that's typical of
response
her.
in bit from the government as well. Sorry, were you saying something, Dr. Shatorupa?
Yeah, I said Mahua Moitra always does this. She thinks she knows 2.5 words of English and she always does that. So that is, I mean, I don't know why
sorry.
y'all, that
I'm sorry,
cannot
the
be
side sort of
yardstick.
comment bar is not open in this debate. We
No,
will do
but
it
if
in
you
a Q&A
invited me,
format.
this is the way I talk.
Tehseen Poonawalla. All right.
what is
Is
wrong
there
with this
enough?
lady?
Is there enough matter in what has been
BJP
alleged? Because I'll tell you what. Some of it seems to be, and let's get to the crux of it. Let's get into it. Some of it seems to be sort of this raid happened and then this sale happened. Putting 2 and 2 together and let's make it 222. I'm talking about some of the allegations Rahul Gandhi has made. These are very serious allegations. That the visit of the Prime Minister to X country was followed by a deal between a company and that X country. These are very serious allegations. Just saying that in the timeline of events, this happened after this doesn't seem to be enough, at least prima facie.
Good evening, Tamanna. Thank you so much for having me on the show. And I hope I can bring in some amount of depth without bringing in brain cells of facial hair, because I firmly believe you should raise the quality of your argument, not the pitch of your voice. So let me just make my point. We'll come to what the questions you specifically raised in the second part. Let me just ask some very specific questions to the BJP spokesperson out here, for whom I have deep respect. Ma'am, 3 or 4 questions, very, very specifically, please, as an investor who invests in Indian markets. The allegations are such that there are 6 shell companies operating from one address in Abu Dhabi. Through these companies, there has been round-tripping of money, which has been then used for inner trading to raise the prices of stock, and against those inflated prices of stock, debt has been taken on a particular group. These are very specific charges. The answer to that from the concerned group has been, this is an attack on India. The answer to that, to me as an investor from the government, is, we don't know. Who knows? You are on this show asking an opposition member of parliament to bring evidence. May I ask you, one is pregnant or not pregnant? Were shell companies used? Yes or no? Because in any democracy, this is illegal. Were stock price increase? I don't believe this can happen in India, but the way you have not been making any counter arguments, it shows, does it show that India is a banana republic, that something can happen? So could you please answer this specific question with specific answers before I ask you the second part of the question? Very specific. Please don't go here, there. I've asked you a specific question. Can you answer that?
Shatorupa, do you want to respond? Yes.
Yeah, sure.
Yes,
Why
of
not?
course.
You see, I represent the government of India. I represent Bharatiya Janata Party. That is what it says.
You represent the
BJP
government of India. That's
spokesperson,
great.
right?
Could you please tell us? Yes, thank you.
I'm telling you. If you let me talk, then I will tell you.
G, ma'am. G,
You
sorry.
see,
I just
I
clarifying.
can
Thank
only
you.
tell you about the fact that the Indian share market, the Sensex, after the budget was declared, that shot up. What happened to Adani's shares is not the government's headache. It is not, the government is not to be held responsible for that. No spokesperson of BJP is supposed to answer that.
No,
Ma'am,
and no spokesperson of
I'm
the
sorry.
BJP,
I'm not
by
asking
the
about
way.
the shares.
Why don't you ask us?
Tehseen,
Why don't
okay,
you
listen,
ask
I need to come in here. Tehseen, Dr. Shatorupa cannot be seen as a representative of the government of India. She represents a political party. She
Yes.
cannot be representative of the government of India.
She said
You
it's
know
our
that.
study. Yes,
No, I
but
don't
since
think
he said it, I
she meant
repeated
it.
it.
She cannot be. She
All right.
does not have the
Sure.
wherewithal to
But
speak on
Tamanna,
behalf of the
Tamanna,
government of
but
India.
Tamanna.
And we want to put the facts out. So this is a question the finance minister was asked time and again.
Yes.
It's the job of the
And
regulators.
she's made her
We have
statement.
to wait and see what SEBI is doing.
No,
We have to
she's
wait
made
and
her
see what
statement.
SEBI is doing. You know,
Tamanna.
if we stick to facts, everything becomes so
Nirmala
much
Sitharaman
easier.
has made a
Tamanna,
very clear
Tamanna,
statement,
now.
which
Now,
probably
Tamanna.
Poonawalla ji
Okay.
missed.
Okay. Yes, Tehseen.
Tamanna, yeah. Now the BJP spokesperson who slip of tongue said that she's the representative of the government could not even answer on your show that, okay, SEBI will get to it. May I then ask you that the Honorable Finance Minister replying to opposition MP said SEBI will do the job. What is the timeline when me as an investor will know whether such a thing can happen in India or no? Because once again, when you
You want
talk
to know how
about
long SEBI
price
takes
being...
to do an inquiry? What is
No,
your question?
I want to know...
You want to know how long SEBI takes
Okay,
to do an
Manish
inquiry?
Barriarr. I'm going to
That's
get
what takes
Manish
a
in.
ruling
He's been
time.
listening very patiently. Manish, great to have you on the show. You're joining Beyond the Headline on the first time. And this is a contentious issue, you know, where we are trying to literally sift fact from fiction, froth from, you know, what is actually going on in this country, and political rhetoric and drama from impact. How do you see what has unfolded today?
So, good evening, Tamanna ji, and good evening to all my co-panelists. Sorry, I will just start off with giving you a bit of perspective. And, you know, Winston Churchill once mocked during World War, before World War II about USA, that America is a nation of shopkeepers. And unfortunately, in our country, and look what America actually became. So I'm first taking you to the larger thing that, you know, everyone knows that politicians and businessmen need each other for the growth and development of the country, right? It's not that as if they are two disjoint sets. They need each other, they interact with each other, and whatever the plans which government comes up with, it is the businessmen who take it forward. So it seems as if, you know, by association, a businessman coming in contact with a politician is a shame, which I have always disagreed with. And I feel that that kind of a culture should change. If you look at, the delegations of...
No, but that's not the charge, Manish. 1 minute. 1 minute. Let's not obfuscate. The charge is not about politicians and businessmen coming. No, I have to stir it back. The charge is not about how politicians and businessmen coming in contact.
That point.
The charge is about favorable regulations.
Wait, see, there is allegation. The allegation has come from a foreign entity. It has come from Hindenburg. And it has to be probed. I think more or less everyone agrees that that needs to be probed. But do you think it behoves the most important opposition leader of the country and the entire opposition to spend so much of time when so many urgent issues are at bay that you are actually putting, 2 days parliament washed out. Today also, it is about Adani. Adani should have been not so important. I think I would agree with Mr. Tehseen Poonawalla when he says that, yes, as an investor, there should be probe. And I think that SEBI is doing its job. We can wait for that to happen. But this entire competitive politics is about that my businessman is better than your businessman. I think this is very, very unfortunate. Right from beginning, and I took you back a bit. Gandhi ji considered G.D. Birla as his friend. He used to stay there, right? Nehru ji, we all know Jamna Lal Bajaj was a great friend of him. In fact, Birlas were a great friend. So I'm saying that showing few pictures, right? In fact, this is not a guilt by association. There have been great friendship between politicians, and both of them
that's I think an important point. Tehseen, not guilt by association. Not guilt by association. You have to prove the charge that Indian laws, which frankly don't belong to anybody. Any government is the caretaker of Indian laws and Indian democracy while they are in power. So were Indian laws tweaked to favor? That's the charge. You cannot turn it into a guilt by association by showing pictures. What do the pictures prove?
And precisely, Mr. Gandhi is not turning it into guilt by association. While I agree with most of what Mr. Barriarr says, where I completely disagree with him. Yes, while Mr. Nehru and Sri Gandhi were, and Mr. Gandhi was also very close to J. Bajaj, they were never associated of crony capitalism. The charge out here, Mr. Barriarr, and you're an investor, is of insider trading, which led to stock market manipulation and therefore loans taking against these inflated prices. Now, Mr. Barriarr, as somebody who understands the market, and I certainly do understand the market, in any civilized democracy, when this happens, the regulators get up and call or summon the people. Parliament takes notice of it. The Senate takes notice of it. When it happened with Nicola, Senate took notice of it. When it happened with Twitter, Senate took notice of it. When it happened with Facebook, Senate took notice of it. I am saying Mr. Adani is innocent until proven guilty. However, for the Parliament to not take notice of it, for regulators not to take notice of it, for the BJP, the government, to stand up and defend an entity, that shows opaqueness. I still believe Mr. Adani is innocent. I still believe this cannot happen in India. But why isn't somebody coming out and clarifying? Also, no one's answering me if SEBI is probing. What is the end date of the probe? It certainly can't be an infinite probe. There has to be a closure. How difficult, Mr. Barriarr, today is it for you to find out, forget somebody like SEBI, that whether one apartment in Abu Dhabi has 6 offices registered from where foreign funds have come into India via RBI? It's a very simple forensic investigation. It requires no rocket science. And yet, a week later, the world's greatest democracy, which can put spaceships on Mars, cannot get a forensic investigation. Aren't we asking ourselves why this opaqueness?
One minute, Tehseen, we have got a statement. 1 minute. SEBI put out a statement. SEBI put out a statement saying that the rules are in place to look at any untoward or unusual stock activity.
That's not the question.
Yeah.
The question is, was there round tripping of money from shell companies that was bought into India? Now, the money obviously somebody from Abu Dhabi didn't bring in a cash bag.
Manish, respond to that. He's saying, why so long? Why so long?
Are you asking me, Tamanna?
Yes, Manish. That Tehseen has posed that question to you.
I've made similar statements, in fact, that it is a very sensitive issue. It is now snowballed into a political issue, and I think most of the regulators will tread with a lot of care and caution before making any public statement on this. And the kind of allegation which has come up, the kind of groove which Adani is, I think it's going to take some more time. But I don't think anybody can brush this issue aside. It is an important issue. I think my larger point was that too much of is made out being of this Adani issue, because we all understand, while it is important to protect the investors, this has to, this has snowballed into more of a political blame game. And I think it is doing a lot of, damage to our equity market, which is still not that developed. Imagine the investors' confidence with the kind of allegations which are coming on about various companies. The investor confidence will come down, and that actually might do damage to some of the great companies which require to raise money in future.
Confidence will not come down. One minute. This investor confidence, Bogie, we have to talk about this. Okay? Days after the Hindenburg report was out, there was no mention in Parliament. No politicians picked it up. Nothing happened. But investor confidence in this particular stock was anyway plummeted. Today, the stocks have gone up. So investors are doing their own thing. They're looking at facts very, very carefully. Frankly, they are not waiting for a parliamentary speech to decide what to do. And the question is bigger than what has happened with investors. Yes, Ms. Jyotimani, you want to come in?
Yeah, but this is very clear case. This has nothing to do with business or business houses in general. See, when Jamunalal Bajaj or Birla's those time associated with Gandhi and the Congress party against the British regime to save this nation, not loot this country, and Jawaharlal Nehru government and any Congress government never favored a single business house, never went to other countries to brokerage a deal by undermining the office of the Prime Minister of India. This is Adani issues not that simple as Mr. Manish ji is saying. See, this is an entire strategic asset of the country built over decades by the Congress party and other governments with the people hard-earned money, which has been given to one particular businessman who's very close to Mr. Narendra Modi.
Can I ask you a question?
The simple question is, why you are favoring one businessman against all rules?
Okay. Yeah. But can I ask you a question? Did the Adani Group Just one small question
Let
to
me
what
finish.
you're saying. Did the Adani group only come into existence after 2014? Before that, they were languishing? They had nothing? They had no contracts from anyone? The governments of those time,
Let me
including
answer
UPA
this.
Congress governments, did
Yeah,
not
let me
give
answer
them
this.
any ports or any kind of enterprises or any permissions for anything? Aren't they running businesses in several Congress-ruled states? Like
Madam,
many other conglomerates in this country.
Can I answer?
Yes, please.
Can I answer? Can I answer?
Yes, yes, I said
we
yes.
were never said no businessman has done no businessman has done business in our time. See, there was a level playing field. Every businessman, including MSMEs, has given a level playing field and support to develop the country and develop the employment. That is the growth story of Manmohan Singh ji government, which then India became the third largest economy in the world. Now it's no longer there, it's a past story. Secondly, this particular government, Mr. Adani and any other business house in this country never has such a phenomenal growth within a particular time period of one particular party's government. This is where the problem comes. We are not saying no businessman do any business in this country. Business is very important to the growth of the nation. See how Mr. Adani become a 609th businessman in the richest list of the world, become second or third. How Mr. Adani got all the forts against all the norms, which we have no prior experience in the particular businesses. How Mr. Adani was helped by all other organizations. You talks about SEBI. I was telling I'm going to tell one small fact. For example, Adani Enterprises, PE ratio was from 13 to 267 in a 2 years period of time. What was SEBI doing? SEBI was sleeping. Despite that, they have allowed the
I'm going to get Dr. Shatorupa to respond to you.
So this
but
is what
I just want to, get Dr. Shatorupa to respond to you. But I just want to point out one thing. Of course, SEBI will have to look into all allegations, but the fact is that after 2019, and especially after 2020, once the pandemic hit, Indian markets have zoomed up, and there are several companies whose stock market price has gone up multiple times. Now, we will have to go into each of their detail and see why. And of course, this set of allegations is completely different. It's not only about stock market valuations. There is much more to it. Dr. Shatorupa, at the end of the day, today you are asking the Congress for proof. They're saying set up a JPC. Let there be a probe. They are making an allegation. Let there be a probe if there is nothing to hide.
Okay, firstly, Tamanna, what the Honorable Congress MP started off by saying, this entire holier-than-thou attitude that nothing happened at our time, everything has happened post-2014, is something, I mean, not only us, the entire nation laughs at. When the British were here, the British looted, and the moment the British went, the Congress started looting, starting from the Jeep scam, to right up to very recently. If I start listing the scams, not only Congress, this show will get over. So let's not get into that.
I quickly
as
would like
far
to
as,
intervene.
yes, businessmen having done very well, and the financial situation in India has improved.
What are you doing for the 9 years if Congress did the
BJP
scams?
government? You see, on a national channel, I don't know how many national channels you've attended, you don't interrupt somebody else while the person is talking. You have that amount of decency. You don't, obviously.
That you are talking. You are saying this. I'm sorry, madam. You don't know the basic manners, how to...
Why are we making it personal? Why are we making it personal when everyone has got ample time to speak on this show?
No,
everyone has got ample time. No one can say they did not get time to speak on this show.
She should know the decorum of the debate.
I never said a word when she was talking.
Okay. Can you quickly respond, please? Can you quickly respond, and let's keep it civil. Let's keep it polite. Yes.
Yeah. As far as the inquiry that people want to conduct on individual companies, SEBI is doing that. SEBI will do that in their own time. And as far as the JPC is concerned, the JPC has been dissolved. I mean, not dissolved. It has been functioning for quite some time.
What about a JPC on this? The demand is for a JPC. The demand is for a JPC.
They're asking for a JPC. So I'm sure the Parliamentary Affairs Minister will come up with something. I mean,
Okay, they'll come up with something. Yes, Tehseen, do you think JPC is the way to eventually, put an end to this? Because let's be honest, whatever is at the end of it is not doing any good to the credibility of Indian regulators. There needs to be some closure here to the way the world is perceiving how India conducts its business, gives out contracts. Remember, these are very important key infrastructural projects. So we need closure one way or the other, don't we?
When Martyr Prime Minister Shri Rajiv Gandhi bought the Bofors gun and the BJP came out with fake allegations. Remember, VP Singh said that he was supported by the G. He had the account number in his pocket. Ma'am, please, I never interrupted you. Let's keep it decent, ma'am. When VP Singh said he had the account number in his pocket, Shri Rajiv Gandhi, a martyr for this country, never ran away from a JPC. When the BJP made fake allegations and destroyed India's telecom sector on 2G, and Mr. Barriarr will bear me out here, the Congress under Dr. Manmohan Singh never ran away from a JPC. On that JPC, actually, as interns, we all were looking at what happened on that JPC. When in the nuclear deal, on which India got an exception to the 123 agreement despite not being a signatory to NSG, the BJP bringing cash inside Parliament, the Congress never shied away from the debate. I remember Times Now, then a new channel covered it, your sister channel, and how BJP brought cash inside Parliament. Today, in the temple of democracy, and the most holiest place of democracy, if we want a debate, why does the government want to run away from a debate? And I feel bad for the Congress, because very often the Congress is criticizing MPs like the Honorable MP, that where is the opposition? Today, the opposition is raising the voice. The MP is not doing it for herself. She's raising it for investors like me, for common people like me. Today, when they're raising their voice, you're asking why you're raising your voice.
How are they running away from a debate? Today, the opposition has spoken. The session is still on. Has there been any statement saying we will not engage in a debate? Has there been any statement from the Treasury, from the Parliamentary Affairs Minister saying hum debate nahi karenge? I haven't seen that yet. Yes, Manish.
Is that for me? Is that for me?
JPC normally is meant when there is an allegation of corruption and fraud, and this is about one particular company. I do not think this is, JPC is largely political. This is in the domain of business. So let's take up, tomorrow government changes, and if you start demanding JPC for each and every company, I think that would set a bad precedent. So JPC is, and also I've thought about it, and I feel that, most of the time it is the technical agency which do the probe, right? That yields a better professional result.
Okay, and there is no rule saying that you cannot have a JPC on affairs or issues with a business house. There is no rule. It is the decision of Parliament on what they want to hold a JPC or not. Tehseen, my point to you was that when you said they're running away from a debate, there has been no statement so far from the Treasury benches saying that we will not have a debate on this. That was the point I was making to you.
Yes, you are making that point very rightly, except Tamanna, you with a very senior journalist and somebody's experience, there is a list of business that is listed for the day. Where in that business, when it comes in the morning to you, Tamanna, is it listed for debate? These 4 MPs have to sit under Gandhiji statue and protest for their right to speak. This was never the case with Arunji or with Sushma Swaraj. And to Manish, just one thing, in 2G, they were investigating Tata, they were investigating Shahid Balwa, they were investigating private companies. That time, you didn't think about why private companies are being investigated. This is not against Adani. The JPCs on the regulators. Are India's regulatory mechanism functioning properly? Nobody's answering that question. Ultimately, none of us want crony capitalism.
The session is still on. The session is still on. We'll have to wait and see where this goes, whether there is a response. What kind of a response is it? Is it cogent? Will there be a JPC? And at the end of the day, Indian regulators will have to prove with their actions, not just words and statements. We'll have to see what comes out of this next, because it's going to be on them to exonerate themselves, because allegations have been made. Thank you to all of you for joining us on the lead debate.